Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss Magic's most competitive tribe and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. I'm Kody, one of the co-hosts of the show, and not Kody Smith on Twitter. And we have my co-host, as always. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It is Sunday afternoon. We don't normally record at this time, but we had a special recording that we had to do, and we said, hey, why don't we just keep going? Let's do a quick episode for the people and kind of give our instant reaction to everything we just did. There'll be more context to all this foreshadowing here soon. But I'm excited. I'm pumped. Let's do this.
Yeah, and we want to thank you all for listening and hanging out with us on a weekly basis as usual. Making sure to tell all your friends about the show and and rating us in all the app stores that you can find us in, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, the Apple Podcast Store, all those places, as well as Walmart. Yeah, you can find us in Walmart, I'm sure, somewhere. And thank you for supporting us.
I buy Crocs from Walmart, so I'm usually there.
Ooh, that's rough. But thank you also for supporting us on Inked Gaming and using the coupon code FISHCAST10, where you get 10% off your order, and it kicks back a little bit of the money towards us, where you can buy shirts.
Even if we didn't get any money, you still get just cool fishing gear, and that's awesome.
And you can get playmats and shirts there, which they're all awesome, and with art by Ishton, who is great, as well as supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/fishcastmtg.
He's not just great, he's super great.
And we have a new patron this week.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah, his name is Keith N. So thank you, Keith, for becoming a patron. Yes, we always love having new patrons. Keith, thanks for being a patron. You're awesome.
Now, is it Keith N, like just Keith, and we abbreviate his last name to one letter, or is his last name actually N?
His last name starts with an N. I just didn't want to say his full last name.
That's good of you.
Yeah.
Protect the PII of the people.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, we're going to go into our first segment, the Random Merfolk. And Keith reached out with a random Merfolk number, and he picked Random Merfolk number 108. And do you want to say this one for us?
I would if I still had it up. what was it?
I've got it here. So the random Merfolk is Merfolk Raiders. It is 1 in a blue. Ooh, this one is from
Mirage.
Mirage, yeah. So this is 1 in a blue for a summon Merfolk, and it's a 2/3. It has phasing and island walk. So what I like is that it has the reminder text for Island Walk, but it doesn't have the reminder text for phasing.
Well, because phasing is a very common thing. Duh.
Yeah, of course. We all know what phasing. So this phases in or out before you untap during each of your untap steps. When it phases out, it's treated as though it doesn't exist. So it can only attack or block every other turn.
Yeah, but when it phases back in, it's not like an enter the battlefield trigger, so you don't get triggers like that, and you don't get affected by summoning sickness. You're just like literally just not there.
Yeah.
It's a really weird. It's a weird mechanic.
Yeah. This is definitely a weird card. It was only ever printed in Mirage. I'm not excited about this one.
I kind of am. It's so goofy. It's so goofy. First of all, the fact that minus the phasing, 1 blue and 1 for a 2/3 Island Walk is actually pretty cool. I mean, that's a decent card. If it didn't have phasing, this thing would be played.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there's that. Second, the art is just on fire. I mean, this is old school MTG at its best. Like, it's kind of cool, like super goofy at the same time. These Merfolk are like in weird positions. There's 3 of them. They're in like these weird positions. They have these like dread things on their heads, and you got to pull this card because the guy on the far right has a forehead that's literally the size of his entire face. So imagine your face, and imagine you took that measurement and put it on top of your forehead. Imagine like a 90s like flat top, but that was somebody's forehead, and then there's hair on top of that.
Or like Paul from Tekken.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Paul from Tekken haircut, but the blonde hair was just all forehead.
Yeah, it's just your forehead.
And then there's some dreads on top of that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this guy has. And they got forehead tattoos, and as you can imagine, the guy on the far right, his forehead tattoo is huge because he has a giant forehead. And then the flavor text is just on point. Turn your back for a second, and they just vanish as if they were shifty, as if they weren't shifty enough before. From Rargok, Goblin Archer. The
Yeah.
best thing. So I love it. The fact that Rargok is making. By the way, sounds Klingon. Is making it sound like vanishing. This vanishing ability is awesome, and it's making it them more shifty than ever. And second of all, I had to Google it just to make sure. Rargok has never been printed as a real card. So
Oh man.
come on, we got Urza now. We got Sarah. We're not getting Rargok. I mean, there's no Goblin Archers out there. Let's do this. Let's make this happen.
Yeah, that's a fun word to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think that we have any place for this card, but we do have something a little bit more awesome to talk about, I think, than
I think so.
Merfolk Raiders.
Yes. So this episode's actually coming out on our traditional time on Thursday, correct?
We can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the people should have already seen that we had a
Preview card. Yes, thank you to Wizards for providing us a free preview card from the upcoming set M20. And
it's our first preview card. Super duper sweet. And Wizards was super duper sweet to allow us to preview it.
yes. And we've been kind of playing with people's expectations, talking about oh man, you guys are going to love this kobold. And or people saying like this better be a merfolk, and I'd be like, that would make a lot of sense.
Not to say that we won't get a kobold preview card in the future.
Yeah, who knows?
Just not today.
Yeah,
just not today.
So Matt, do you want to read our preview card for those of our listeners that haven't seen the video that went out?
For all 0 of you who haven't seen it, yeah, let's go ahead and read it. Brineborn Cutthroat. It is 1 blue and 1 of anything. It's an uncommon Merfolk pirate. It has flash, which obviously, if you don't know, you may cast a spell anytime you can cast an instant. And whenever you cast a spell during your opponent's turn, put a 1/1 counter on Brineborn Cutthroat. It's a 2/1, and the flavor text reads, I always attack from where their spyglasses can't see. And again, I mean, for being a smaller card, this card's kind of super sweet.
Yeah, no, I actually really like this card. And you know what's funny is this actually kind of this kind of comes up to me because there's actually a merfolk that is very similar to this in the history of merfolk. It's Coral Merfolk, 1 in a blue for a 2/1, but it's just nothing. Like that's it. It's just 1 in a blue for a 2/1, and so this is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 with flash
with a lot of other stuff.
and a good ability.
Yeah.
So I think that this is great for Merfolk for standard, at least.
Yeah, actually, and I will say, and again, and me and Kody are gonna be critical of this card as well, but for an uncommon Merfolk from a core set, this actually isn't that bad. It really isn't. We're not trying to jam it into decks for just the sake of jamming it into decks. I think there actually could see some play in some formats.
Yeah, and I mean, having flash is a really, really awesome ability. Okay, so first we're going to talk about how we can use this card in standard. I think that's probably the most applicable where this card is going to land. And Brineborn Cutthroat, I think, has really good synergy with a lot of what's already in Merfolk. So I really like it for standard. What's your opinion?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it fits right into the standard decks. Unfortunately, it's a little late to the party because we're going to be losing our Dominaria and Ixalan Merfolk here soon, and unfortunately, we didn't really get many Merfolk in Ravnica, so it's kind of play 'em while you got 'em type situation.
Yeah, definitely.
And unfortunately, Merfolk never really broke through. I think we were both kind of tentatively optimistic that Merfolk potentially could be a tier 1 kind of aggro, maybe tempo-y type deck. Again, it was tier 2, tier 3 constantly. I still see Merfolk decks quite often on Arena, but and as soon as Arena comes in, I mean, he's going to go right in there with Freeled Mystic and Merfolk Trickster and all the other flashy Merfolks. I mean, it just makes sense.
Frilled Mystic isn't a Merfolk.
Oh crap! You're right. Should be.
It should have been a Merfolk.
Yeah.
But in any case, I mean this card works well with.
I wonder if that was just an error.
They're like lizard, not merfolk. uh, but I mean, so Brindeboard and Cutthroat I think works really well with merfolk on multiple axes, because we already have merfolk trickster, like you said, that has flash. So you can flash in Brindeboard Cutthroat and then flash in a merfolk trickster. And you get an extra +1/+1 counter when you cast the trickster, and you get to tap a blocker. So you have a 3/2, and you've tapped one of your opponent's creatures down. This works actually really well in standard with Deep Root Elite. That's the one in a green for the merfolk, that whenever a merfolk enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on a merfolk. And one card that actually I've been really excited about in standard with merfolk is Vivian, Champion of the Wilds, which I think makes Brindeboard and Cutthroat really good. So Vivian, Champion of the Wilds is 2 and a green for a 4 loyalty Vivian Planeswalker. She has a static ability. You may cast creature cards as though they had flash. And that's the main part of it, really. Because now if all of your creatures have flash, then you're kind of playing with Aether Vial, but an Aether Vial that you can use as long as you have the mana for it. So like you can pass the turn, without playing any creatures, flash in 2 creatures in a turn, and actually get some extra value with the Brindeboard Cutthroat that way. You can also dig for creatures with the -2 ability, which is you look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as it remains exiled, you may look at that card and you may cast it if it's a creature card.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Aether Vial comparison, because Aether Vial does so much more because you're not officially casting it. But again, that being said, the flash ability is just, yeah. I completely agree with the way you're talking about Vivian. I was actually kind of going a different way when it came to standard, though.
Okay.
So before War of the Spark was released, there was a deck that was actually it was performing really well for a short amount of time, and it kind of went down to a little bit more tier 2, maybe 1.5. But that was the Bant Flash deck that centered around kind of playing out the Angel of Grace, which is 2 white and 3 of anything, flash, flying. When Angel of Grace enters the battlefield until end of turn, damage that reduce your life to less than 1 is reduced to 1 instead. Then it has 5 and 2 white. Exile Angel of Grace from your graveyard, your life total becomes 10. You do that with like Field Mystics to have extra counter spells, Deputy Detention, more control magic, Hydroid Crassus because it's just super good. But again, there's just so many, and then the spells. You're gonna have Chemister's Insights instant, Growth Spiral instant, Settle the Wreckage instant, Spell Pierce instant, and then your Teferis, which again allow you to play some of the sorceries in the deck at instant speed. Again, I think that would fit into this deck perfectly. And I actually had Bant Flash built on Arena, and as soon as we get this, it's going to go right in there. I'm going to play test it quite a bit because I had a ton of fun with this deck, and I can't wait to bust it back out.
Yeah,
it plays Hero Precinct 1. I think that's probably the card that gets the axe, and this goes right in there for that 2 slot.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that outside of Merfolk decks, that this card will have applicability in standard for a long time. Because I mean, there's lots of blue decks, like you said, like the blue-white control decks, the Esper decks that are popular in standard right now. This card fits really nicely in there. They can keep up counter spells, and then if you don't end up doing something, they can flash this in instead. It's just a good value creature.
Yeah, and it can get sneaky big very quickly, especially like in a more of a control build. I mean, you play this on turn 2 or whenever you want to do it, turn 3, 4, if you want to leave up some spell pierces, things like that. But after a while, I mean, a simple opt becomes, again, your basic opt, scry 1, draw a card. But then you also it becomes scry 1, draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on Brindeboard and Cutthroat. So it's sneaky good. Outside of standard, probably not anything else Eternal playable. Most likely Modern and Legacy. My personal thought process is if this was a 1/1 for 1 blue and shifted to rare, then potentially we could see this as more of an Eternal playable card. Possibly. Other than that, I mean, do you agree?
Well, so I was going to bring up because the same thing that you brought up about Aether Vial is kind of the reason why Brineborn Cutthroat would not be good in Modern or Legacy, is because you are. Well, I think it actually might be better in Legacy than Modern
So you
because
get more counter spells.
you have more counter spells and all that. But the biggest thing for Modern is if you have Aether Vial, you're not casting creatures. You're vialing them in, and so it kind of Vial kind of works against how this card Brineborn Cutthroat wants to approach deck building. So it's kind of like
he's just stone cold unplayable in Modern then.
I wouldn't say stone
Well,
unplayable.
at least stone cold unplayable in the traditional mono blue Merfolk deck.
I think if you were playing Force of Negations, then it might be a little bit more playable. But it's not going to be nearly as good. And again,
Not
like
stone cold, but pretty dang close.
in Legacy, where you have more counter spells and things like that, I would say it's maybe a little better, but I don't think the power level is quite there.
I would completely agree.
Yeah.
Two places where I think it will see, well, one place where I think it's going to see quite a bit of play is limited in both draft and in sealed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think this thing is a sealed and draft all star. I mean, it's a easy 2 slot. I mean, even if it was just a 2/1 with flash, I think it would do really well. But the fact that it's going to start growing over time, and if you're in blue, obviously you're going to have a lot more instant spells. Again, blue red, I mean, could be really good. You have your slight burn an opponent, and put a 1/1 counter on this guy. Heck, I mean, I'm thinking off the top of my head. I mean, he could maybe see some play in some of those Phoenix decks.
Yeah, as long as we have Arclight Phoenix.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking. I mean, I could be 100% wrong, and I probably am, but you never know. Play test a little bit, see what happens. Just because you have so many instant spells that you're playing on that deck.
Yeah, and like the sort of counter burn decks that come up every once in a while. A lot of Izzet decks I think will like this, and a lot of like blue black X control decks will like this. So I think it's honestly a great card for standard.
Maybe both folk and modern.
Oh yeah, you know what? That might be the case. That might be the place for it in modern. Is you're playing Wizards Lightning, and it's not a wizard though, so it doesn't. Yeah. But
actually, that segues perfectly into what I wanted to talk about next. Commander. First of all, this is the only Merfolk pirate there is.
That's true.
So yeah, I had to double check, and I'm like, did they really not make any other Merfolk pirates in Ixalan block? But no, they didn't, because it didn't fit the flavor of what they were trying to do, and the color pattern. Because the pirates were more Grixis-y, so red, black, blue, and they were making the Merfolk all green, blue. So, first of all, I think it's great that Merfolk are becoming more pirates, because actually they probably should be. I'd love to see more Merfolk pirates in the future. And secondly, if you're going to play the commander, this slots perfectly into a Admiral Beckett Brass commander deck. Now, obviously, I know he's not seen as much commander play as he used to, but if you're going to play pirate tribal, I think this guy goes right in there. I think he's a lot of fun.
And this has great art. I love the art on this card.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that. This art is fantastic. It's really cool.
And I actually looked up the artist, Caio Monteiro, I think is how you say that. He's actually only done 3 other cards for Magic, and 2 of them are arena-only cards, and one of them is Infuriate, which is in M20. But this art is great. I love it. It's so wonderful.
The detail is fantastic, and the way that he drew the Merfolk's face is just really, really cool looking. I kind of hope they kind of go with his style more in the future.
Yeah,
it's like a more realistic version of what the Lorwyn Merfolk would look like. So if you took away the storybook version of them and made them like traditional like Wizards artwork, that's what I'm seeing here.
I would assume that this is a legged Merfolk, because it looks like it's starting to like pull itself up the side of a ship.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely doesn't look like an Ixalan Merfolk.
It does not. No.
Yeah, it's a really unique design, and I really like it.
And his dagger is just cool looking.
Yeah, he's got a dagger in his hand. He's about to he's about to throw some people overboard, if you know what I mean.
It's like this like tilted bone dagger that has like shark teeth on the side of it, so it's like serrated. It's like really cool looking.
Yeah.
The art on here is fantastic, and the fact that like even just like the subtle details of having that rope in the foreground is just really cool. Like just really well done. Like super impressed.
Yeah. So we're both kind of positive on this card for standard. I think this will see standard play for some time. I mean, obviously, probably not in a Merfolk deck after Ixalan rotates, but
if the Bant deck survives, actually, I mean the Bant deck survives no matter what because it's not losing anything really from the Ixalan and Dominaria blocks. So I mean, if the Bant deck comes back, I guess would be a better thought process. It definitely can see play in there.
And it's also something to consider. You know, I'm sure that Arena or Wizards has some sort of plans for a Eternal format on Arena.
Yep.
At some point, and
has it been confirmed yet? Because I know people are talking about it already.
Well, that's why I said I'm sure they have plans. I don't know if anything's been confirmed yet.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Because I mean, people are talking about it like it's been confirmed, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure they have to do something at some point eventually. But I mean, this is definitely a card that could come in and out of favor in Merfolk and Arena if a format should exist, like an Eternal format, not unlike Hearthstone where they have like their standard section and then they have the you can just use whatever cards section.
Yeah. So, and if that happens, I mean the Merfolk will be absolutely a deck. Again, it'll be probably about the same tier it is right now, probably 2, 3, but definitely we'll see play. And you never know. Merfolk's just one of those tribes that the synergy keeps going up and up, and it might like just kind of turn the corner. Not having the island walk abilities will probably be the downfall of it for the new Eternal format, because we're just not going to get land walk going forward. I would be stunned.
I don't know. They brought back protection from in this set, so you know. There's...
Yeah, I don't know. I would be surprised. Let me take it back. I'd be surprised if we saw like island walk and mountain walk and things like that. Like I can see snow walk or non-basic land walk or something, gate walk, something weird like that.
Gate walk.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah,
they love their gates. Come on now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm really disappointed that we didn't get a Gates Matters legendary creature. That really made me upset. But I mean, any last thoughts about Brineborn Cutthroat before we get out of here?
No, just again, thank you very much. We've kind of had a little mini, please, can we get a preview card for, I don't know, a couple months now. We really do appreciate it. Again, and it's just it's a cool card. It really is.
Yeah, I really think it's an interesting card, and we'll see lots of standard play. And I mean, I'm sure I'll test it in Modern and Legacy because that's the person I am.
That's what you do.
That's what I do with my life. Maybe a slightly more counterspell heavy deck, or maybe putting him in Bolt Folk. Who knows? But yeah, this card is great. Thank you again to Wizards for giving us this free preview card for M20. And you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is at FishCastMTG. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt, and the video, our logo and stream art was done by Ishton on Twitter, as well as our animated intro by Jake Boss MTG for all of our YouTube videos. If you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play podcast app stores, as well as find us at patreon.com/fishcastmtg. You can also support us on twitch.tv /fishcastmtg. If you have Amazon Prime, you can support us for free every month.
Hey, I have Amazon Prime.
Then why aren't you supporting us?
Lazy.
Yeah, you get a free Twitch sub every month, and that goes towards our income on Twitch. So thank you everybody for your support and your time, and we will see you all next week.
Have a nice Sunday afternoon, everyone.